One of the ideas behind building this truck was to not use any expensive or super custom or hard to find parts. So this truck is made mostly from Traxxas parts, and there's a few Amazon parts, one 3D printed part. The reason for that is I wanted to make sure that if anybody else wants to build something like this, replicate it, that they can easily do it with easily accessible parts that you can get from a hobby shop or, from Amazon, AliExpress, or maybe, like 3D printed parts that are common and that are designs are out there, not something you have to buy, not a file you have to buy, but the files that are out there. And that's what the front battery mount is. And actually, this guy here, this little tiny bumper piece that I attached to the bumper mount, it's a 3D printed piece that I also, a file I found online for free. And I just attached it to the Traxxas bumper mount. This piece was meant for a Traxxas truck, so it slid right into the bumper mount. Now let's talk about the axles, and we'll start with the front axle. So what the front axle has is a diff overdrive, which is a Traxxas part you can easily buy. So that's what's in here. What it has also a hardened portal gears, which is also a Traxxas part you can easily get. And I don't remember, but I may have hardened gears in these portals and rear portals as well, but I don't remember, to be honest with you. But for sure in here it has hardened portal gears because I've broken a few and I had to upgrade. And one more time, there's overdrive in here. And talking about overdrive and underdrive, in the very rear diff, there's a underdrive gear in here. It is also a Traxxas part you can get. So there is a underdrive gear in here, regular stock, whatever comes from factory gear in this diff, and then there's overdrive gear in here. So yes, you're probably wondering, all three axles rotate at a different rate. And I guess from front to all the way rear, you have combined overdrive of like maybe 26%.
This time we will spin, stop, spin, stop. So you'll see that white lines are going to be in different position every time. Here, here, and here. Here, here, and here. So all axles rotate at different speeds on this truck.
Another thing I'm going to mention is that every axle in this truck has a wide track axle stubs from MIP, which adds about 4 millimeter per side. And just bring the truck a little bit closer. You can tell by, like, if you can tell by the red spacer here. That's a MIP spacer for their wide track kit for the portal stub axles. So every axle, obviously, on this truck has it. Yes, I know you're saying if the battery doesn't go here anymore, where does it go? And the battery now goes here. Okay. And I know you might say, oh, you can't really put a big battery there, which is true. You cannot put a 6,000 or 7,000 milliamp battery there. It's not going to work. But there is a bunch of batteries that still work, and that's what I use. So this guy fits, and the cap fits right over it. It's the 2200. The small 2200 also fit, like even better than this one. and small 2200 is what I actually use. Okay, so this fits. Then we have the 3600 Adventure Pack. This also fits like a glove in here. The cap fits right over it. See, it's below the body post. This works perfect. And we also have the 4300 Adventure Pack. It's actually not that much bigger than the 3600. So it also fits. Still below the body post. And the cab also fits right over it, nice and snug. And you can tell because our body rests on the bumper mount. It would be right here, so it would fit this battery nicely. So yeah, those are your battery options. Like, it's not 5,000, 6,000 milliamps, but 4,300 milliamps is still pretty all right. And this battery mount is obviously 3D printed, and I think this is the only piece that's not a Traxxas piece, and something that you cannot like just go out there and buy. But this file is available for free online. It's the TRX4 TRX6 battery mount. I just downloaded the file, printed it, and this works really, really well for like a forward battery mount. And I mean, the reality is, if you really want to put a big battery here, you can. You absolutely can put something that's like, this, like something that's like this wide. You can. The challenge for me was the cab body, which is super narrow. It's super narrow in the front, so these were my confinements in terms of battery width and depth. There are three sets of tires that I particularly enjoy running on this truck. Let's just quickly cover them all. The first one is 5.4-inch Super Swampers. They're cut and siped, as you can tell. The performance of this tire improved significantly once I cut it and siped it. I think this could be cut even more, but they work pretty good for now. It's pretty good, like a overall trail tire. And we've got 5.25 J Concept Ruptures. Really like using these for rocky stuff, technical stuff. Yeah. So 5.25 inch J Concept Ruptures on a 2.2-inch wheel. And these are all-time favorite Mudslingers XL. These are also cut. See, every other lug, or all of the small lugs, are gone. This tire measures at 5.5 inches and is also on a 2.2 rim. While on the topic of tires, I just want to quickly cover the foam configuration that I like using on this truck. And what I mean by that is the foams or the inserts are different stiffness or softness depending on where on the truck we're looking. So what I like to do is put very soft to the front. See, it's vented. It's rather soft. There's a printed insert in here. To the middle we'll go. It's also vented, but not as soft, right? There's a printed insert in here as well. So you see how much this tire fluctuates, and see the difference? And on the rear, they are the stiffest configuration. So in the rear, I'll have a regular dual stage foam setup of some kind, and it's not vented. So stiffer in the back, less stiff in the middle, and soft on the front. All of the 3 tires that I all set up that way, including a set of these and a set of these, all set up with foams exactly the same way as I just described. So a key mod on this truck was adjusting the wheelbase. One thing I did was move the middle axle 10 millimeters more forward, and I achieved that by using TRX4 short wheelbase link length back here. And I moved the rear axle 20 millimeters that way by using links here that are from a TRX4 lift kit. Let's talk about advantages and disadvantages of changing up the wheelbase like that. The advantage of moving the center axle closer to the front is a better breakover. The advantage of moving the rear axle further out is ability to tackle some pretty steep obstacles that have steeper incline angles. There is, however, a disadvantage also associated with moving the rear axle further back. Your turning radius will not be as good. Hence the reason I put a selectable locker in the rear diff, because if you can unlock the rear diff in a truck like this, you will gain some of that turning radius back. Because the truck was made longer, the locking cable that originally came on this truck, it didn't fit anymore. I needed a longer locking cable to reach the rear axle. So what I ended up using was the locking cable from the hauler for the middle axle on the hauler. So the length of that cable worked out perfectly for the wheelbase configuration on this truck here. Let me cover real quick what I did back here to extend the wheelbase by 20 millimeters. So initially, this link was a bottom link. So what you do is you take your factory bottom link and you put it at the top. And these are 115 millimeter links. So you buy those and you put them here. Your new lower links that go here is going to be Traxxas part number 8145. Just remember to keep the rod ends. You just got to reuse the rod ends in exactly position as they are in stock, but you will be using your new set of links. Because we're putting the axle further back, you will also have to extend this drive shaft. And in order to do that, you're going to need a new shaft joint for the rear. So this is the shaft joint. The rear shaft joint is actually different for some reason. It's not like all the other shaft joints, and it will not work for us moving forward. You will need to replace this shaft joint with a Traxxas part number 8295. Hope you found this video useful. Please let me know in the comments if you have any questions, comments, or feedback. I'd love to hear any and all of it. And let me know if you like the next overview to be of this 6x6. It is also a TRX6. It sits on G-Speed chassis. It's got rear steer. It's a completely different build with its own purpose, with its own attitude, and with its own approach. So let me know, and thank you guys for watching.